London. The newspaper placards spelled out the story of coughs and sneezes which have emptied factories and offices and filled hospitals throughout the country. Many places are operating on skeleton staffs as the flu takes its toll. At the headquarters of the London-based emergency bed service, the operations room is in a constant state of siege by telephone. A 24-hour service keeps tabs on available beds in 200 hospitals as the demand for them from seriously ill flu victims reaches the red for danger level. Normally there's a staff of 48 to handle urgent requests for hospital beds. But here too, the flu virus has struck and volunteers have had to be called in to help cope. The pressure is intense. This doctor works a 24-hour shift in charge of the service. It's a time of trial as each hour brings more demands for ambulances and beds. Crowded scenes in chemists all over the country are commonplace. Prescriptions to fight the virus are keeping the dispensers working overtime. Another crisis resulting from this demand is the shortage of containers.
What if I were to tell you that I could predict down to the second a future apocalyptic event? One where electricity and water would stop. One where planes would fall from the sky. One where nuclear weapons would be launched. One that would spell the breakdown of society as we know it. And it was less than 50 years away. What if I were to tell you it was 15 years away? What if I were to tell you it was a few months away? What if I were to tell you it was tomorrow? This isn't just a hypothetical question. This was a real concern people had as the 20th century came to a close. It prompted increased sales in water, canned food, and survival items as the entire world prepared for an incoming unnatural disaster of unprecedented scale. A potential computer error known as the Y2K bug. The Y2K bug at its simplest was an oversight of older programming practices, but to keep the public calm. Ironically, one of the biggest problems the Millennium Bug could have introduced wouldn't have been the result of a computer error, but instead mass panic. News media constantly pushed the fears of critical utilities breaking down, from water to electricity to ATMs, and a public that didn't trust these technologies was likely to excessively burden them at the last minute, either by saving up water from the tap on December 31st, or by cashing out their bank accounts. The possibility of such a strong overload on any of these critical systems in the hours leading up to the millennium could cause them to shut down, even if the underlying computer code would have worked flawlessly. While professional settings worked on contingency plans for every possibility of system failures, FEMA encouraged citizens to prepare disaster supply kits with the necessary food, water, and first aid supplies for people to survive up to a week without basic utilities. Of course, some took these warnings more seriously than others. Certainly some people ignored the warnings altogether, but on the other end of the spectrum, some people prepared for what they saw as the apocalypse, turning their homes and basements into small fortresses with excesses of supplies to survive the impending disaster.
At first, only gays and IV drug users were being killed by AIDS. But now we know every one of us could be devastated by it. The fact is, over 50,000 men, women, and children now carry the AIDS virus. That in 3 years, nearly 2,000 of us will be dead. That if not stopped, it could kill more Australians than World War II. But AIDS can be stopped, and you can help stop it. If you have sex, have just one safe partner, or always use condoms. Always.
The gentleman in the elevator now is a candid star. These folks who are entering, the man with a white shirt, the lady with a trench coat, and subsequently one other member of our staff, will face the rear. And you'll see how this man in the trench coat tries to maintain his individuality, but little by little, He looks at his watch, but he's really making an excuse for turning just a little bit more to the wall. Now we'll try it once again. Here's the candid subject. Here comes the candid camera staff, 3 of them at least. And this man has apparently been in groups before. Now, here's a fella with his hat on in the elevator. First he makes a full turn to the rear and Charlie closes the door. A moment later, we'll open the door, everybody's changed positions. Now we'll see if we can use group pressure for some good. Now, in a moment, on Charlie's signal, everybody turns forward. Notice they take off their hats. And now, do you think we could reverse the procedure? Watch.
Years ago, Hermann Goering testified at the Nuremberg trials, and he was asked, how did you make the German people go along with all this? And he said, it's an easy thing. The only thing a government needs to make people into slaves is fear. You can do this in a Nazi regime. You can do it in a socialist regime. You can do it in a communist regime. You can do it in a monarchy and a democracy.
We, the Germans, are asking this question, how it happens in the 1930s. And a lot of people are now getting a sense how it happened.
We're held hostage to more and more mutations that can be used to reduce.
But the momentum has begun, and the spirit of this place must sweep across the world if we are to stop Orwell's boot stamping on the human face forever.